Hello and welcome to part 2 of our conversation with Gaurav Mazumdar, a Grammy nominated global musician. In the first part, Gaurav spoke about his view on spirituality, the evolution of Gaurav, his composition Siddhartha, the ballet, and his experiences. He plays the Ganesh Vandana piece at the beginning of the conversation. His Grammy recognition piece and his experience with the great Pandit Ravi Shankarji. In part 2 of our conversation, Gaurav continues his fond memories with Panditji, his performance at the Vatican. He plays a very short meditative piece for us during the conversation. His journey from vocal music to violin, and then finally the graduating to the sitar. How does he draw his creativity and from where does he get those energies? His experience on music and spirituality and the point of intersection. Finally, he ends the conversation and our podcast with a beautiful sitar piece that makes you feel good and gets you all inspired. And of course, we end our podcast with our trademark rapid fire where Gaurav is all himself. Looking forward to the second part of our conversation with Gaurav Mazumdar.
You summed up the whole experience very beautifully, and great articulation. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to put all of those qualities or adjectives that you said into the person, and I'm saying, wow. And if you're saying he continued doing that at 92 or 90, that speaks volumes, right? We give up at 40 and 50, and
he never gave up. He never gave up. That's one thing with him. I have read this one-liner many times and I believe in it. I try to follow it, that before you give up, try one more time. But for him, even that statement didn't exist because that thing of giving up never existed for him. For him, it was just keep going.
Brilliant. Wow. I'm actually getting goosebumps just thinking that you lived with him and you practiced with him, and that's it must have been quite a chapter in your book, right? In your life.
The biggest chapter, yes. And it's going to be the biggest chapter.
And the most impactful.
When I do write that book.
Yes. Your performance at the Vatican, please let us in on it.
That was to tell you the truth, that was a blessing. That was a blessing in many different ways. That I was chosen to represent India at the Vatican, at the very auditorium, which holds close to 9,000 people. That auditorium, Aula Nervi, is meant for Pope speaking to his followers on Fridays.
Right.
Every Friday. So for me to imagine I'm sitting on that stage, very stage, with the Pope and world leaders and musicians from every nook and corner of this world, and I am going to represent India and Indian music there, to be chosen for me to do it.
Wow.
Was a very, very great experience. And also that was one of the first events which got my name across in India and abroad. People started noticing who I was.
Oh, okay.
India Today wrote a special article on me. I did many interviews on newspapers. And I was thinking, that it's the end of a millennium. We are at a juncture of history, which not many people will have the privilege to stand at that juncture and watch these two millenniums meet.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to see the night of the last millennium and the dawn of the new one.
Wow.
And you are really watching it. You're seeing it. We are the blessed generation that we got to see that. And I thought, what do I do it? I need to do something special. I need to create something. And as I said, anything like that, it starts to play that tune in my head. And I kept on going back. Here we are welcoming the new millennium.
Okay.
And I am going back to millenniums back to our Vedic times.
Okay.
My mind is going back there to the Vedic times. And all in my head I'm hearing is, the Vedic chanting.
Beautiful.
And then from that, I realized that I was making a melody, I was making a creation, I was coming up with an idea where I joined it with very meditative, very
It's like a trance state, right?
trance, very spiritual, divine, very Vedic.
Very divine.
And
Wow.
so I thought that's the best way to connect.
Yeah.
That millennium which is gone way past, but it still lives in us through our music and our culture, and join it with this new millennium, the 21st century, and all our expectations and hopes we have from this millennium, coming millennium. I called it Akanksha.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And that's the composition I played at the Vatican for everybody, packed hall with thousands of people.
Yeah.
And I got a very good response. So Vatican will remain etched in my memory forever as a special event where I felt I was being blessed.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And so were the listeners, I'm sure. Awesome. Awesome. You played, and this is the fun part and the intriguing part for me. You played the violin for 12 long years. You performed, you were not an amateur, you performed, you won awards, you won accolades, and then you switched to sitar. And obviously you started all over again. Tell us. I'm really intrigued there.
You know, my journey, the first 10 years was spent doing vocal music, which I'm so happy, so thankful.
Sorry,
so thankful, because vocal music is the base for everything.
Right.
Unless you're able to vocalize, unless you're able to speak, unless you're able to sing, you're not able to give expression to your music, whatever instrument, even if you play tabla.
Correct.
So I'm so very grateful to my cousins, my eldest uncle, my father, everybody who had a role in making me a singer, give me all those knowledge of my vocal cords, getting to know my vocal cords and sing. Then I played the violin because it was chosen by my father.
Okay.
I was too young. And I played the violin. I did hours and hours of practice, and Pandit Ravi Shankar ji heard me violin and accepted. So I must have reached a certain stage. But, you know, after I reached my guru's home here in Delhi, that was the first time my interaction at such close quarters of being with one of the greatest musicians and one of the greatest sitar players, and one of the greatest instruments we have in India, which is the sitar.
True.
It all happened at the same time. And I feel soon after I must have landed in his house in 95 Lodi Estate to live, my love affair started with the sitar.
Oh.
My infatuation moving into loving that instrument, and then going crazy and being passionate about that either I play sitar or my life is finished. That was the feeling I had. I had to do it.
Okay.
But I never jumped to conclusion too soon. I am not a person who takes decisions overnight. I always like to think, rethink,
Okay.
speak to some people, take their advice, take their suggestions, think it carefully, and end of the day, I make my own decision.
Okay.
But this is one incident where even though I took a time of 1 year to think and go through this process of decision making, I didn't speak with anyone. I just spoke to myself. And even though I was living in the same home, almost after a year, it was a summer afternoon. And that time, Guruji would spend a long time in India and in Delhi because he was member of the Rajya Sabha from 1986 to 1992. So because he was in India during the summer time, he wanted to have mangoes, which otherwise he would have in America or in England or wherever he would be, which is not the same, having fresh mangoes from the tree.
Correct.
And outside it is blazing hot. That whole feeling, it all goes together. There is nostalgia involved. There is that feeling of that taste in your mouth when you must have had mango for the first time in your village, in wherever you're from. Your mother cutting it for you or dipping it in water, keeping it for it to be cool, having no refrigerators at home. All that process makes you who you are. So he mentioned to me that he wants to have mangoes. And after lunch, I said, okay, I'll go and bring it. But before I went for that mango shopping, I handed that letter to him. I said, I don't know if I speak to him, if I'll be articulate, if I'll be precise, if I'll be able to explain and convince him. So I wrote a letter before.
Okay.
And I redrafted the letter. And finally, when the letter was done, I took a photocopy. Though these are days much before all this.
Computers.
So I said, I must keep a copy of this. I might want to look at this letter one day, So, and I gave him the original and he was surprised, little shocked. And he started to explain to me. He thought that I have had enough of Delhi in this 1 year.
Okay.
And I was homesick because I left home. I left my studies. And I want to go back. So he started explaining, no, it happened to me when I went to Baba in my year. And this is usual, just stick on, just be strong. It will all fall in place. So then I said, no, Guruji, it's not about that. It's something else. I want you to read. So he was curious and he says, okay. So he took the letter and then I went to buy the mango, and a thing which would have taken maybe half an hour for me to go buy the mango, come home, I took close to 2 hours because I was wandering in the market thinking how he would react to the letter, what am I going to face now, what is written for me. And when I came back home, he had retired for his afternoon nap. So I said, okay, I went inside to my room where I was, and it was only him and just one other Guru Bhai of mine, just two of us and him, 3 people. So, but after some time, we had a power cut.
Okay.
And naturally, with the power cut, the air conditioner switched off, the light switched off, and I could hear, he had a peculiar way of walking. His slip-ons would be half through his feet, half outside, and it would make a certain sound on the floor. And I could figure out that it was him. He came out of his room, and my other Guru Bhai quickly ran and attended to him, and he was talking to him. But I couldn't from inside, I didn't have the courage to come out. Otherwise, if it was any other day, I would come out and say, yes, Guruji, how can I help you? You need water, you need something. But I just chose to stay in, and he was talking. And then after some time, he was hardly very loud. He was never very harsh. He was never but that day he cried out my name really hard, Gaurav, like that. So I thought, okay, that's it, he'll come and call me and say, okay, that's it. You have lost your mind. Go back home.
Right.
So end of your time with me. I was really fearing. So I go to him, and he again, in a very firm and a very, not loud, but a firm and a, little louder than usual. He said, I read your letter. So, and I was quiet. I was trying to see his expressions and couldn't read much. And then he softened and he said, my God, why did you waste 1 year? You have been already with me for 1 year. I wish you had told me earlier. We could have used that 1 year. You would be much further in your journey of the sitar.
Oh no.
So I didn't know what to say. I was happy. And then he said, okay, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There is always a time to begin. Tomorrow is Tuesday. It's day of Lord Hanuman. Get up in the morning, have a bath, wear fresh clothes. We'll have a puja and we start your lessons.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And I had, till then, I didn't even have a sitar. This thing I showed you in the beginning, the mijrab, I didn't even have a mijrab. So on his sitar and his mijrab, what he put on my finger with his own hands that day.
Wow.
And the Ganda Bandhan ceremony was 1 year before the Guru Shishya tradition. We have a puja and you tie the sacred thread on each other's wrist and feed sweets to each other, a promise that we stay with each other through thick and thin. That was a year back, but this was another ceremony with him giving me the sitar, putting the mijrab on correctly so that, and then starting the first lesson. And I'm lucky and I'm happy to say that I didn't have to look back. And it's been such a rewarding pleasure, journey full of pleasure and happiness.
Wow. And how many years now, Gaurav?
I started in 87.
Oh my God.
So 33 years now playing the sitar.
Wow. Brilliant.
And 27 years of concertizing.
Wow. Okay. You somewhere little early in our conversation, you spoke about the three-dimensional thing that gets into your head, that tunes in your head. Where do you draw your creativity from? How does it come to you?
From everything.
Okay.
From everything. Anything which touches me, which moves me, which makes me think, which makes me feel a certain way. Moments in life, going through situations and incidents in history. From everything. I might look at the sky outside and see, wow, how beautiful. And a composition might emerge from that. Or I might just be at the airport watching the aircraft and feeling amazed at the marvel of human mind, creating a flight which is carrying tons and tons and tons of weight and yet able to fly so high and take us to a certain destination in such a short time. And anything which is thought-provoking, which moves my emotions in a certain way, and I create them.
Wow. Wow.
But I best create under pressure and under circumstances when you give me, okay, we are performing Siddhartha tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm best in situations like that. But other than that also, I mean, I do create all the time.
And when you create when you create things like these in the airport, or let's say you're sitting in the balcony, does it stick to you, or do you quickly write it down? Of course, today we have.
No, I write down because that thought will go. Many times I also get ideas in my dreams. When I'm sleeping. So I'm thinking of this music. I'm sleeping. It's going on, and all of a sudden I'll wake up. And that tune will still be buzzing. But if I say, okay, I'll sleep and morning I'll write. Morning I might forget. So I keep a sheet, or I'm at the airport, at the back of my ticket, I'm writing, or at the back, many of my boarding passes, at the back you'll see a lot of scribbles there. Those are notations. And nowadays on my iPhone, I have a page specially dedicated to this. And I quickly write the words, the lyrics, because I also write the words. And I write the notes, and I write situations, I write the date, and I keep it there, and then I later work it on and I fare it up and then put it on my MacBook Pro on places where all my compositions are there.
Awesome.
And the first opportunity I teach it to a student, because that's one process of clearing my mind. As I am teaching, I am going through the composition, I'm hearing it back from a student, and I'm able to react, reflect, and also learn from that.
Brilliant. And this is a question probably very appropriate to you, Gaurav, after having listened to you. Is there a point where music and spirituality meet or intersect? And have you experienced it yourself?
I think They don't meet. They belong to each other.
Wow.
Dwell in each other. Music comes out of spirituality, and spirituality comes out of music. You might be whoever you are, and all of a sudden you you hear a piece of music, and all of a sudden you go to that sublime state where everything is just so very beautiful and so divine and so spiritual. So it comes out of the music. At the same time, you might be in that state, and you might create a piece of music which is so very sublime and divine. So they stay. For me, they are together. They are not separate. They don't meet. They are one and the same,
Awesome.
Existing and coexisting within each other.
Awesome. Music and leadership and your views.
Oh, it's very important. Very, very, very. Music is leadership.
Awesome.
Music is leadership, because unless you're a leader, born leader, unless you have that leadership quality and skills, you'll not be able to create music which will move people, which will make people cry, which will make people happy, which will make people follow you, follow your work, follow your journey. So music is all about leadership, and leadership in the right way, because as musicians, you are delicate, you are strong, you are vulnerable, you are emotional, you're everything. You're everything, and when you're a person like that, any incident which is happening, which shouldn't be happening, you express it through your music.
Beautiful.
If you're a poet, you express it through words. And I do it all the time, because it is important for us to voice and express our concern. And if not a concern, at least that we are aware of a situation around us.
Very nice.
It shouldn't be the way it is. And we have luckily musicians who are born leaders. They have the courage to voice it.
Absolutely. Awesome. Very nice. Very well said. One part of you that you have not spoken about or not too much written about is you do a lot for the social causes and for the community, Gaurav. Can you let us in on it, please?
Yeah, that one thing, I always keep it very close to me, because I don't want to highlight on that. I don't want to publicize that fact. I don't want to be judged how good a musician I am because I am doing some good work for some needy people. No, I want you to judge me with my music. If I'm a good musician, you should say he's a good musician. If I'm a bad musician, you should say, no, he's a bad musician. But I don't want people to say that, yeah, he did so much for the poor people. Yeah, he must be a good musician, even though I'm terrible. I'm playing all wrong notes and wrong shrutis and everything. No, judge me as a musician for the music I play and create and I do. And rest, whatever I do is my duty. It's I'm not doing a favor to anybody. If at all, I'm doing a favor to myself, because I know that is something I should be doing. So I've been involved with many projects. I have, with a friend of mine who was working for Ford Foundation, Mallika Dutt, we formed this breakthrough where we worked towards awareness towards violence on women. And I worked with people for, like when the Kosovo crisis happened, I gave my music to voice and raise money for the Kosovo crisis after the war. And I have given my music to so many people who think it might help them create a certain awareness, and people might get attracted and want to contribute and relate to a certain crisis. And I do it all the time, and I'm very happy that people ask me. And like one of the recent things is, in Bangladesh, a lot of rural, a lot of poor children, they have a problem by birth where their upper lip, there's a cut.
Yeah, that's a cleft palate. Yeah,
Yeah. And the director of that whole organization, he requested me if I can be their brand ambassador, if I can contribute, if I can, through my music, I can raise awareness. And I said, yes, yes, of course. And I play for them regularly. They ask me to create a video, to put it on their website and raise a certain awareness. I'm part of that. I'm part of many such organizations. I teach a lot of poor children who I don't charge any fee. I help them with instruments. I try to make their life musical, because without music, as rightly said by some very knowledgeable person, wise person, that without music, life is a mistake. And I believe in that. So I try to give music to anybody who comes my way, whether they can pay, they can't pay, whether they can buy an instrument or not buy an instrument, or they are able to be regular, whatever, in whatever way I can. But I don't like to speak about it. I feel very inappropriate to put it on my website.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I teach children who have problems, who are differently abled, who have, how do you say that, challenges in terms of learning.
Okay.
I have a student who had cerebral palsy at birth, couldn't even move, and his father, just I think out of innocence, asked me, can you teach him? Will he be able to learn? And I don't know what came within me. I said yes. And believe me, even today, he was having a lesson. He was sitting on a chair and moving, because for them to move their vocal cords, they need all that coordination from the toe till the head. But a person who could not sing a sa properly can sing a whole tune now.
Wow, wow.
So for me, it's a personal experience. It's a journey which is so very personal. I don't like to put it on a website and highlight on it, record him and put it on YouTube.
No.
Why? It defeats the purpose for me.
Very nice. Very nice. And it's very interesting. And I'm glad you're doing this. So more power to you. But it's interesting you spoke about the cleft thing. And I'll tell you, some time back, we had interviewed one of the doctors it's a friend of mine. She lives in Siliguri. She set up the first plastic surgery unit in Siliguri. And she runs an NGO called Smile Train Foundation, where there are kids coming from Bangladesh to her, and she operates them free of cost.
Wonderful.
So I'm glad you're doing it, and this is really wonderful.
Wonderful. And also, during the lockdown, I'm a professional. I perform all over the world. My house runs on the work me and my wife does. But during the lockdown, I made it a point to perform for anybody who's asked me. I have not asked for a fee.
How nice. How nice.
And many professionals, many musicians, out of concern, I'm not saying anybody had any other intent in mind, called me up saying that, why are you doing it for free? And, this way you're spoiling your audience and you're spoiling your...
Yeah.
And I said, look, the primary reason we make music is to make people happy. Primary reason is not to earn money. And at this time, when everything is so dark and dull, and we don't know when lockdown started, when the whole corona crisis happened, we thought, like any other thing we heard about Ebola and we heard about dengue, it will come and go. But all of a sudden, we realized that it's here to stay.
Yeah.
And people are at home, people are depressed, people are bored, people are upset, angry, people don't have a job. And I realized that the happiness people get out of music, because I have seen it when I perform. And I said, this is the best thing I can do. So anybody who came, I did some few. Till then, I had not done even one Facebook Live. I did my first Facebook Live. I had got such good response. I did 2 or 3. And within no time, people started asking me. So I didn't have opportunity to go back to Facebook Live, but I have done so many live concerts for different organizations, and all free, because I feel that this is the time to walk the talk when we say we serve people through music.
This is leadership.
It's also leadership. It's also to prove what you say.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, I will do it, and I feel good about it.
Brilliant.
And it's gone very well, and I'm enjoying it.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Your life-defining moment.
Many. Life-defining moment for me cannot be one. A life-defining moment was when I was born into the Mazumdar family.
Right.
Life-defining moment when I got my uncle, my cousins, my father, my father's guru, who were all so eager to teach me. Anything I have in mind, they were there to answer. Then that great moment when my uncle Nalin Mazumdar and my cousin Anjan Mazumdar brought me to Pandit Ravi Shankarji. That great moment when he said yes and said, come to Delhi, live with me. That moment when he said yes to me learning the sitar. That moment when I started, within a span of 3-4 years, I gave the radio audition, I qualified, I started performing in India, I started performing abroad, and I saw a smile on people's face, and they're saying, because I was worried, that they will see through, oh, this guy doesn't play, because most of the musicians, when you go here and you ask them, oh, how long have you been playing? They'll say, all my life. And here I would say I'm playing for 3 years, 5 years. So as soon as you say that, however good your music is, there'll be a cloud and there'll be a certain question mark.
Yes.
Oh, is he really good, or we just think he's good? Right. So all those moments, Vatican, getting a Grammy nomination, meeting all these wonderful musicians, having a wonderful team of students, disciples who are great admirer of mine. They are family, they learn this music, they will carry it forward even after me. And so many things, Venki, that it's just that if you say how I feel, I feel grateful.
Awesome. Very nice. And you really still have retained unbelievable amount of humility with you, Gaurav. It's really nice to hear. Really.
Thank you. That's my guru's doing, I think. Seeing him, you can never feel big-headed, and So it is important. It is important that we remain who we are, because the core will never change.
Correct.
The core will still be this boy from Allahabad who was born into this family under certain circumstances and conditions. It will never change. However much you try, it never changes. You might change this kurta and wear something better tomorrow, or wear this one dry cleaned all over again. But the inner core remains, and I'm happy it remains, because that's where you draw your maximum amount of energy, inspiration, nostalgia, and everything from. That's something you must keep alive.
Beautiful. And actually, on this note, what is your message to aspiring musicians out there, Gaurav?
See, I have always believed in doing music for the sake of music.
Okay.
Not have any agenda, not have any big plans that, okay, I want to do this, I want to practice 12 hours, then I want to perform, I want to reach here, I want to play in Albert Hall, I want to get the Grammy. No. Play music because music gives you a certain amount of happiness, which no other thing gives you. If that same happiness or more you get out of playing cricket, do that. If that same happiness gives you out of writing, do that. If that same happiness you get by opening a shop and selling rice and dal, and do that, because your heart is there and you will do that well.
Very nice.
But if your heart is not in music, but you want to be a musician, it will not work. Sooner or later, you'll have bad experiences, and you will realize that in the larger plan, this wasn't mentioned.
Okay. There we go back.
We go back to where we started.
Yes.
So get to know the larger plan, go deep within, and find what that larger plan for you has been, where you are featured in that larger plan, and find your place.
Wow. And unfortunately, it sometimes takes a lifetime, Gaurav, for a lot of us to figure out.
Yeah, sure. And that is the plan anyway. That's the plan. That's also a plan.
Awesome. Something you have, and I don't know whether I should be asking this question, something you have yet to achieve.
Oh, a lot. To be a better sitar player, to compose a piece which is better than what I have written until now, write lyrics which is more meaningful. Uh, I've done music for one movie, Shwet, but I would love to score music for many movies,
Nice.
both in Bombay and abroad. But meaningful, good movies. Uh, I would, uh, I would love to have more time with my students, prepare them and take them on their journey and help them in their passion, which I do, but I would love to do more. I would love to write books on history of Indian music, on compositions, on the terms, and on a lot of myths which are, which basically, sometimes don't let us go deep into this music without any fear. I want to remove those myths with a lot of positive stories and experiences I have had. Many things. And I want to make sure that one day I'm in a position to convince the Indian government that to have music compulsory in schools and colleges.
Brilliant.
And many things. And I'm working towards those. And once those goals are met, I'm sure I'll find out few more things to work for. So this is a life's mission.
Very nice, very nice. I want to get into a little bit of lighten the mood a little bit. I want to get into a little bit of a rapid fire with you, the last few things. Can I do that with you? So,
sure.
Okay. So what do the following mean to you? A concert.
Pleasure.
Wow. Music.
Way of life. Oxygen.
Gaurav is?
Gaurav is a boy from Allahabad and he wants to remain that.
Sitar is?
One of the most versatile, beautiful instrument in the world.
Finally, you would like to be remembered as?
As a person who tried to make a difference with music and was able to give a smile on people's face through his music.
Beautiful. On that note, Gaurav, I'm tempted to go on, but I know it is very late for you in India back there, and I'm really kind and.
No, if there's anything else, please stop. I'm okay.
Really grateful of you. I would like
because I like questions like this extempore and on the spot. I don't like planned, sending questions.
I know you told me that. Would you like to? Can I request you to play a different piece for us?
Of course. Let's do that.
It'll be lovely, yeah.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I can only give you my applause, but it was divine. It was simply divine. You know, and whenever I see you playing, and I know Panditji was really the only man who took the Sitar universal, and you clearly, there are shades of your excellence there. No, Gaurav, there is no missing the fact that you have been trained by him for sure. It comes out. It comes out. Awesome. On that soulful and really, really enchanting note, Gaurav, I want to thank you for taking your time out. Thank you for answering to the questions patiently. And thank you for regaling us with your lovely music in between. Your last words to the audience before we sign off.
I thank you, Venki, for speaking to me, reaching out to me, and most important to the audiences, stay safe, stay home, listen to music.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav.